The purpose of Critical Connections, welcome everybody, is to enhance and encourage critical writing in ceramics. And our guest today is Shamai Gibsh. He's going to talk about his process when he published his book on the print-on-demand site of Amazon. Go ahead, Shamai.
I have one question.
Yes, Kurt.
Where'd all the women go?
I don't know. I don't know. Anna had an emergency tooth thing that she had to do. And Nancy Service will probably plug in. She usually does.
There's usually only one or two guys. Now we gotta, well,
I know.
There's still only one or two. It's just not many people.
Yeah, it's for the first time I'm in the minority.
Yeah, how's that feel?
Just fine. I'm in good company.
Oh, thank you.
So I'll share my screen here. And I will start the slideshow. Wait a minute.
On the bottom right.
Bottom right. There? No.
The one with the minus.
Here?
No, one left.
There?
This, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You want to start or you want to wait a few more minutes?
I would say go ahead and start because we will have the recording.
Okay, so the story of writing a book, I did a small presentation. Over 15 years, I wanted to write a book, summarize the knowledge I gained in teaching, making, and conducting workshops. The aim is to share knowledge. Along these years, I've saved all my notes and many of my pictures.
Next.
Yeah. Just push your arrow down.
It didn't work.
Next one. In March 2020, I flew to Boston to meet with Kathy King to arrange my teaching schedule and continue to NSICA for my demonstration. Upon landing, Josh Green called me and said that the NSICA conference was canceled. A few minutes later, Kathy called and said the university decided to close, which was closed for a long time.
Oh.
I took a cab to the airport immediately and got the last flight out of Boston back to Israel, landing into 10 days of home isolation, followed by an endless lockdown. Managed to get a permit to go to my studio every day for 8 hours a day from April 21 for 18 months. And in between workshops, I started to write the book. Next. Next slide.
Next.
Yeah. 6 months into the project, I started to think about the book publication. As a board member of the American Ceramic Society at that time, I sent them a sample chapter and found out they're willing to publish the book. That's where Jonathan published his book.
Mm-hmm.
Editing and graphics were on them, and in return, I relinquished to them all my rights to the book. I will receive 5% of the sales, and it will take few years to publish the book. They advertise the book on social media and through their magazines. Next. In 2019, Rhonda Wheelers published with them her book, which included a chapter about my work. She was very generous sharing her experience with them. I learned they always published with a soft cover, so the book can be used as an aiding book, teaching tool. The font size is always small in purpose to reduce the number of pages and therefore lowering printing costs. She mentioned that the process was very long, took a few years.
A few years, did you say?
Yeah, a few years, yeah.
Wow.
That's Rhonda's book.
Oh.
That's Rhonda's book about Terra Sigillata. She published it in 2019, and the second chapter is about my work. So that's how I knew her well.
Nice.
Then Lindsay Osterreiter published another book in 2019 called Mastering Kilns and Firing. And I contacted her, and she also included my work in this book. That's how I knew her. I loved her graphic design. I decided to follow her concept with my book if I decide ever to self-publish it. Her font size was much bigger and easier to read. She was very generous in sharing her experience. All her expenses were paid by the publisher. In her case, it was Quiet Books. And she got as well 5% of the sales.
Who was her publisher?
It's called QUARRT Books.
Okay, okay.
It was considerably faster than working with the American Ceramic Society. Next.
I heard that.
Lastly, I contacted Arnoldsche art publisher in Germany. They're actually an ISC member. They're familiar with my work because in 2017, they published a huge book with a whole chapter about me that was written by Elaine Holstein. The publishing process is beautiful, high artistic books, but much more expensive and not quite what I was looking for. He gave me a lot of advices, what to do and how to do, and how to edit, etc. Really nice man. However, they were super professional and helpful, as I said. So now I had to decide, publishing company or self-publishing. Next. Started to put some numbers for self-publishing. I have to do language editing. I wrote the book in English. I interviewed 4 editors and finally picked a super nice editor, a lady originally from New York. She is a ceramic enthusiastic and familiar with my work. Graphic design, that was a frustrating challenge. Found out that the pompous attitude correlate linearly to the cost. I estimated the book will consist of about 200 pages. The cost they quoted was from around $8,000 to $14,000, and it will take up to a year of working together, which was too long for me. This is, for example, on the left side, my book, on the right side, Typical American Ceramic Society. That if you consider the fonts are really, really small. And I found it very hard to read. Actually, this is Jonathan's book.
So what font did you use? What size?
Well, I don't remember. I can
Can't
tell you.
remember. Okay.
It was
Okay.
number 12, but I don't remember the name of the thing. I can tell you what it was.
Yeah.
But we went through many tests till I found this one that was clear, simple, and much easier for people our age to read, or my age anyway.
Do you remember the size of the font?
Yeah, it was 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I knew how I liked the book to look. Pictures were inserted into steadily evolving Word document. I wrote the book in Word, which was endlessly printed in an ink color home printer. This printer that cost me $400.
Wow.
Next. Book printing. Most graphic designers that I talked to suggested to print a minimum of 1,000 non-digital copies for good quality, and estimated was about $20,000 to invest into printing 1,000 books. With self-publishing, I need to cover all costs, secure storage space for the book. Sorry, it's not with self-publishing, with going with a publisher, it's a mistake here. I need to secure storage to place all the book, time to package and ship them when sold, and hopefully lots of time in the post office, because ship each book to whoever buys it. Next. That's a sample of another page in my book. Next one. That's another one. Just to show you a little bit the graphic designer I elected to do. Next one. POD, print on demand story. Then a friend of mine recommended a couple of graphic designers he worked with for several years. He mentioned something called POD, which I knew nothing about, print on demand. Googled it, investigated the concept. I found out that there are several companies that give the service for self-publishing. In fact, it's unbelievably simple. You load a digital file to the POD site, depends which company you go with. set the sale price, and the POD company handles the printing, shipping, and splitting the profit after they take the printing cost with you. The author needs to invest no investment in either printing or shipping the book. Next. Meeting Lillian, that's my graphic designer, was an instant click. She loved ceramics, loved my printing sample, and wanted to work on my book. We discussed the concept and how I like the book to look. Her part entailed converting the Word document into InDesign software, address all the needed adjustment of the images. We picked up the font size. I was told to expect a few design options within a week. Her estimate for the entire process was around 2 months, not 1 year, 2 months.
Wow.
Publishing through Amazon, which was the POD company I picked up, using the fast international spread out, printing facilities and shipping apparatus was a leading option. I didn't need to print any book draft. I was given a PDF version to unload into the KDP. This is how Amazon calls it, Kindle Direct Publishing site. I was told to go online, open an Amazon account, which I already had, and loaded the book to the site. Next one.
So going back to that, Shamai.
I will go to that. I mentioned
Okay.
it again.
Okay.
The graphic design, which consisted of adjusting all pictures for the required quality, the design of the book front and back, and if necessary, correct any mistakes for typos once the book is published for the duration of the book, was about $2,000. After publishing the book, if correction had to be made, I only needed to reload the corrected PDF file, and the next book buyer would receive a corrected and updated version. And actually, I had few mistakes. Some people claimed that I misspelled the name, so we fixed it. We found some typo errors. So, in the first 2 or 3 months, almost once a week, I uploaded a new version, and that's it. And whoever buys the book gets the latest version. It sounded too good to be true, but I decided to do it. I can always take it offline and go to the traditional printer. I own the book. I didn't give it to anybody. I own the rights to the book. Next.
That's great.
That's another example of how the design looks, the book design looks. Next. Another one. So still there were expenses. So the language editing was $1,500. Graphic design was $2,000. The printer, $400. So altogether, the book cost me about $4,000. Print on demand means that my book is bought directly from the POD site after being printed on demand and followed by relatively quick shipment. I have nothing to do with the process. I don't have to ship it. I don't have to do anything. Distribution and finance. So Amazon, as a publisher of the POD book, assumes retail cost of a 200-page book to be about $45. That's the first price I added. Then there was an increase. I decide the price of the book. So let's assume I sell it for $45, and the buyer pays for the shipping cost. If you're on Amazon Prime, you don't pay anything. It's free shipping. While Amazon charge about $16 per book for the printing cost, and the other $29 are split 60-40. 60 to Amazon, 40 to me. Therefore, for each book sold, I will receive about $11.6. Remember, with a non-POD, if I would gone with the American Ceramic Society, I would get only $2.25 per book, which is 5%.
Wow.
And in this case, I get almost $12. Realistically, for 500 books sold over 12 months, the revenue will be $5,800, which is, even for the first 500 books, will be higher than my investment if I had to pay the whole $4,000 out of my pocket. With a traditional non-POD publisher like American Society, my income for those 500 books will be $1,125. Okay, next. And then next one, please. Amazon as a POD has facilities throughout the world, except for India and China. It has facilities all over America, everywhere in Europe, in Australia, in Japan, Italy. They don't have it in China, and they don't have it in India. I don't know why. As an author, I'm allowed to buy. I can buy directly from Amazon, and only for the printing cost of $16 per book. So if I want to buy 500 books, I can buy them at $16, not at $45. Optionally, I can sell the book to my students during exhibition, etc., which I've done many times, for the list price of $45, and then I gain $29 instead of $12 per book. Actually, I sell it for less. When I sell it to my students, I sell it for $38. So they save $7, and I still make more than $12 per book. Next. Now I decided that I'm going to do some fundraising to sponsor this book, and I approached Rode. It's a kiln manufacturer in Germany. SiO2 is a ceramic clay manufacturer in Barcelona, Spain. Ceramicon is an Israeli material support supplier who brings the stuff from Italy, and the Israeli Ceramic Association. So the three, Rode, SiO2, and Ceramicon, gave me enough money. They paid for the $4,000. So actually, the book didn't cost me. I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. In return to their endorsement, they were mentioned as a sponsor in the book, in the first cover of the book. Contribution for the supplier paid for all the expenses, while the Ceramic Association held a solo exhibition of my work that was last December, named after the book. And that was very beneficial. We sold almost 70% of the exhibition, and we split it 50-50. So they made a lot of money, and I made a lot of money. So that was great, and they're mentioned in the book. Next one. This is the solo exhibition last December. Next one. Actually, this page I'm doing tomorrow. I'm in the middle of workshop, and this is the page I'm going to show them how to do tomorrow. We're going to fire this one tomorrow. Next one. On May 22, I loaded a PDF file onto the Amazon KDP site and chose the quality of paper and color. I picked up the best paper, white, and the best color quality. They have two qualities. I picked up the best, cost a little bit more. Choosing the best color quality and shiny thick paper for the cover was followed by about 10 minutes for Amazon to generate the book. After you load it, it takes about 10 minutes, and then there is a book, and you can see the book online. It's pretty amazing. You can see the book digitally. I chose to have the book in a soft cover printed version only. I don't have the book digitally. You can have it as a digital book too, and you can sell it for much less. I decided to have it only as a printed soft cover version. And as I said, not available to purchase digitally. It looked wonderful. I post the publish button, and the book is available for anybody to purchase online, and I love it. Next one. That's another sample of how the book looks. Next one.
So you're happy with the quality, Shamai?
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
Good.
And there are differences between, I've seen the book in Europe, in different countries. When I visited, people had my book, and in the States. In Latvia, I saw it last year at the university. Go next one, please. I saw one book in Latvia that the quality was not as good as the one we have in the States. They have their own, but it was still okay. So the timetable was as follows. April 2020, started to arrange notes and pictures and to write the book. January 22, Ruth Almog is my language editor, started to edit the book. April 22, the draft was sent to the graphic designer. May 22, the book was published on Amazon POD. Advertising was only during the first few months via Facebook and Instagram. I didn't do anything else. Facebook, Instagram, and some emails to some friends in my workshops. So far, I sold 1,200 books in 2 years, and I still sell every day a book, which is
Wow.
pretty amazing.
So you're not putting it up on Facebook or
Not anymore.
not anymore.
Because people, it goes from one to the other. People know
Yeah.
about it, and people who are into alternative firing techniques buy the book.
Yeah.
Next one. I would like to thank Julia Galway, who happened to be in my studio in Israel, and looked at the first draft of the book. She wrote a wonderful foreword and added the word clay to the book name, Terra Siglata, Smoke, Fire, and Clay. And to my dear friend, Jonathan Kaplan, who's happened to be here, who encouraged me to write the book in the first case and wrote a warm and supportive foreword to the book. That's it.
That's
And
great.
book. Yeah. So that's
great.
my presentation, guys.
So what is the, wait a minute. What is the, see, some women came.
Yeah.
I was here alone with 3 guys for a while. They wanted to know how that felt. So, what is the actual URL? Would you put that in the chat for the POD? Because I've gone into Amazon and I put in print on demand, and I don't know what to put in to get to that site.
Google Kindle Direct Publishing.
Kindle.
Kindle Direct Publishing. Yeah, and you'll get to the site. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, it looks frightening, but it's very self-direct. When I had the PDF, I loaded it, and actually within 10 minutes, there was a book. And that was an amazing experience, because suddenly, you put a PDF and there is a book, and you can move the book and look at it. What I didn't write, what I actually did, I was in Israel, and I was really anxious to see, after I published it, I went to Amazon and I bought it as anybody, and I paid $30 to ship it in 2 days to Israel. After 2 days, I had the book in my hand, and I was so pleased. I can the book is here, and I was really pleased with the quality. And another thing is that they give you for free ISBN, if you know what is an ISBN. So they give it to you for free. You don't have to get an ISBN. They give you the ISBN for the book, and it was really easy, inexpensive. I didn't have to deal with any shipping or anything, and you can calculate how much money I made so far from selling 1,200 books. So every month I get between, I don't know how much it is, $250 or so in the last few months in income from Amazon. I have to pay taxes on it, but it's really nice, and it goes on, and I do nothing for it. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so it was, I think it's really, and again, my market is very limited because it's only for ceramic people who are
Mhm.
interested in what I do. But I travel around the world quite a lot, and it's amazing. Everywhere I go, I find my book. People buy it on universities, school, private people. It's really, really, really. I'm really thinking to write another one now, because I really enjoy the process.
That's
And
great.
I'm planning to do one for the IEC. So we
That's
are
right.
actually, Elaine and I are going to do one for the IEC.
Mhm.
So
Nancy, you have a question? When you're muted.
I have several questions, but congratulations
thank you.
on pursuing this path and doing it so successfully. In your experience, I'm assuming that each step of the publication process was crucial. But in your mind, which one steps out as is it the designer? Is it the quality of the photographs? Is it the editor? I know they are all very important, but I was impressed with the quality of your photos.
Yeah. Well, I was I'm thinking, as I said in the beginning, I was thinking to write a book for the last 15 years and
Mhm.
never found the time to do it. But I was very thorough whenever I did workshops with students to take extremely good quality pictures.
Mhm.
Before there was iPhone, I always had my good camera with me.
Right.
In the last 3 generations of iPhone, since 11 actually, the quality of the camera is as good as my $4,000 camera. So I always only use my iPhone. Even with
Hmm.
submission now and everything, I use my iPhone. The quality is good. So
Wow.
I had a lot, and I had files that I saved from every workshop. So I had a lot of inventory to pick up for each chapter of the book. I didn't have to do it, when I talked to Rhonda for a while, for example, she worked really hard on generating samples and generating pictures, and I didn't have to do that. I think I did 2 firings for the book throughout the whole time that I worked. Everything else I had.
Mm.
The challenging, Anna just joined us. The
Mhm.
challenging for me was the writing, because I wrote in English and it's not my first language. So that was challenging. And luckily, this woman who did the editing was good. My partner helped me a lot because I'm a bit dry writer, no fun, no jokes to what I write. Elaine knows it. I'm very straight to the point and accurate, extremely accurate. But when you write to audience, you have to add some jokes, so you have to add some fun into that, and you have to maintain a very it was very important to me to maintain very simple English. So if
Yeah.
somebody in France who doesn't speak English will open and read the book, will
Mhm.
understand what I write. In somebody in foreign, that English is foreign to him. So I tried, even if I wrote a little bit more complicated, I asked my editor, please change this to very simplified English.
Yeah.
So that was another challenge for me. Um,
And you have control over it. You have control over the whole
yes.
project.
Yes, and Jonathan perhaps can talk to that because my biggest fear, I was in the board of this American Ceramic Society as an international representative, and I saw many of the books. And I talked to more people than Rhonda and Jonathan and other people, and sometimes you don't know exactly how your book will look. And I had a total control how my book will look. And if I didn't like a page, I would say, "Oh, let's change it." And I did change. I did change. Sorry, I can't talk right now. Talk later. That was a phone call from Israel. And I did change a lot of the graphic design, but she was very, very enthusiastic. Very young. She's a woman, a very young woman. That was her fourth or fifth book in a foreign language. So she really liked the concept of working in a language she doesn't know very well. And she did an excellent job, but she was open to changes.
Mm.
Uh, and she did a great job. As of pictures, I have about, I think, 10 pictures that the quality was not very good. So she took them into Photoshop, she increased the quality, and she did, it looks really, really good, the quality of the book. Jonathan has the book, he can tell you that how the quality compares to other books that,
Oh, it's a beautiful book.
yeah.
No
Yes,
doubt about
great.
it.
Yeah.
Joe, you had a question or a thought?
Yes, hi, Shamai. It's great to have you give this presentation. For all of us who probably want to publish a book on demand,
Yep.
I've only worked with commercial publishers, and what I wanted to know, maybe you said this in the beginning and I wasn't here, but from start to finish, how much do you think it actually cost you to do this book? I know you did the photographs, but you still had to hire the designer, you had to hire an editor, and then you had to, pick out your paper, which you chose the highest quality, and the cover and the trim size. All of those figure into costs. So what would you estimate at the final analysis was the cost of your book?
I thought if you go afterwards, go through the presentation, I talked about it, but the graphic designer cost me $2,000. The language editing cost me $1,500. I bought my own printer for $400. So my expenses were $4,000. And actually, I didn't have to pay for it because I did fundraising from 3 different companies, and they paid me this. I mentioned the name in the book, and I got all this money. So the book didn't cost me anything actually. My revenue from each book is about $12, which is I don't know if you saw it. I sell the book for $45, maybe $45.95 now. They increased it a little bit, and Amazon charged $16 for the printing cost, and there also the $29 is split 60-40, 60 to them, 40 to me. So on each book, I get about $12. I received $12. If I would have gone with the American Ceramic Society, I would get $2.25 per book. So, even financially, if I knew that I'm writing a book for a certain audience, and I knew that my audience would be people who are interested in alternative firing techniques in ceramics. And the market, there are not a lot of books on that. And my book is very, very specific. And I knew that anybody who's interested in this field will buy this book. And it's happening. And as I said, I still sell a book a day, which is very nice.
Great. Congratulations.
Yeah. So that's a story.
Shamai, what was the purpose of the printer?
Because I wrote the book originally in Word. I don't know anything about InDesign or something else. So I use regular Word, and I printed it in Word, and I put the pictures where I wanted them to be using Word. So I printed it at home, and I wanted to see how it looks. So, and then afterwards, when she sent me the PDF, I printed it at home before I sent it to Amazon, because I wanted to see how it looks in a home printing version. And when, and looking at that, when you look at the printed version, you always find mistakes. So even when I did it at home, I found some typos and stuff like this. And then I called her back, and she sent me another PDF. And when I was happy with the PDF, and it was a process that took about 2 days, then I loaded it into the Amazon, and within 10 minutes, there was a book. As I mentioned, and the big advantage of doing POD is that you publish the book, you buy a copy. Okay, you get a copy, and you find mistakes. You fix them, you unload it again, and it takes 10 minutes to unload. So whoever buys the next book has the latest version. And if I want to do edition number 2 to the book, I'll just upload edition number 2, and I said this was edited in 2026, and I some correction, or I can even add a chapter, and I can publish it again as, this is my book with additional chapter. So people who bought it originally may buy it again. So,
Kurt, you had a question.
Yeah, I'd just be curious to hear what Jonathan has to say, because he just went through the traditional process of going through the American Ceramic Society. And I just wanted to hear if he has any input or thoughts or opinions.
Well, my book took considerably longer. It took 4 years to write, and it took the American Ceramic Society 2 years to edit. I was involved in every part of the process. I could change anything because they would always communicate with me. And I understand that I needed, I didn't want to publish it myself because I felt I needed some kind of organization behind it. Like Shamai, it's a very narrow market. And, I was aware of that. And my costs out of pocket were I paid a proofreader and I paid an indexer. And my costs for that were probably $1,800 total. I have not put a value on my time because it would be just crazy to do that. The illustrations were done by a professional illustrator who also happened to be a potter in a previous life. I had full control over that, and I trusted all of his judgment. I still to this day have no idea what percentage I get. And
5%.
Yeah,
5%.
it wasn't a motive, it was never a motivating factor for
Yeah, that's
me.
okay.
And I
Yeah,
don't think it
for me
was for
too.
you either.
Yeah. No,
I
of course not.
knew, I kept asking myself, and it's a very good question, and I'll ask Shamai too for an answer, is why did I write a book? I wrote a book because when the time comes for me to depart this planet, and I don't leave anything behind in terms of information or the stuff that I know, it dies with me.
Yeah.
And, it's not that any of the techniques or anything that I had were revolutionary or exemplary or totally different. There are a ton of books on mold making out there. And well, actually maybe 8 of which only one is really good. The other one is great. But I felt I had something to add that could broaden the lexicon and make the mold making process more approachable and not that much of a mystery. Most academic programs minimize plaster and mold making, although it's still there. But, I taught myself how to do this. And, if I can do it, people who now have my book, they can do it. And I wrote a book because I just wanted to pass the information on. I was not looking to I never aspired to be a ceramic rock star, never. And, I'm pleased with the book. I have nothing negative to say about the American Ceramic Society. They did a stand-up job. It just took a while. And, I had to, what did I learn? I learned patience. I learned perseverance, and I learned persistence. I wrote every day for 4 years. And it's just a process. And I could not write for more than 2 or 3 hours a day because I would just burn out. And like Shamai, I had always taken photographs of what I do and of the workshops and all that stuff. So I had a tremendous repository of images. And what I didn't have, I was able to take at my studio, and it worked out just fine.
Just to add, yeah, I agree. The idea to write the book is to share knowledge.
Exactly.
Again,
Exactly.
we're not here forever, and I thought that I gained some knowledge or developed knowledge that I know that other people who were in my position didn't want to share it, and I thought it's very, very important to share. I believe in sharing. That's why I'm teaching too. I don't enjoy teaching and running workshops anymore, but I do it to share knowledge, and that was the book. And since I wrote the book, I feel like I want to teach less and less and less. I'm doing less workshops since the book came out because I tell everybody, go get
Go
the
to the
book,
book.
read
Buy
it.
the book.
Everything is very detailed, and my book is extremely detailed to the really, 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 really tiny detail. So everything is there. I'm right now, running a 5-day workshop, which is yesterday I fired 3 gas kilns at the same time, parallel, which was crazy outside, and it was 97 degrees in Boston. So that was really, really hard. I came home, I collapsed. So, but it's pure sharing. It's really nice to get every month a little check from Amazon. I don't, it's, I got so far about $14,000, which is really nice.
It's very nice.
Or even more than $14,000. And I'm still getting every month a little check. So that's very nice, but it's a side benefit. It's not, that was the reason. I thought that, my biggest dream was that I'll sell 500 books. That was my target. And that's where I based all my calculation. And I thought it will take 4 or 5 years. And the other thing about, I am not such a patient guy as Jonathan is. And we're very good friends. And I remember when I had an exhibition at Jonathan Gallery, 2016. When was it? 17?
Yeah, around there.
Something like that. He was writing the book, and he was very patient, and we talked about it, and then he told me it's going to take another year, and then he gave it to the American Ceramic Society, which I was on the board. I knew exactly what's going on there, and I didn't have the patience for that. So even if I would have gone to a publisher, I would have gone with a publisher who would do it much faster. because that's not in my character I'm not such a patient man like Jonathan is. But
Well, I'm patient, but like most people of our
so
generation, I
they,
want it now.
yeah,
Uh,
they're publishing beautiful books. I have
Mhm.
all the books that the American Ceramic Society published, but I think that the POD result is as good as, and I had much more control.
I agree. I agree.
I
The
had
most,
much more control on the outcome.
Mhm.
Jonathan,
the
on
most,
yours, do you know how they're marketing your book?
yes, they're marketing it through Pottery Making Illustrated, Ceramics Monthly. It's on their website, and they're working on getting it on Amazon. And it was available for publication at this past NCECA.
Yeah.
And I know that if you include the NCECA sales, it's about 380 copies so far.
That's nice.
And
That's
and that's fine. That's fine. And I think about what was the most difficult part of writing a book, and it wasn't the actual writing of the book, it was the outline, because there's so much stuff to cover. And every time I'd complete an outline and I'd start writing from one bullet point, I said, oh my gosh, there's 4 other bullet points I totally forgot about. So I would add them, and then I'd rewrite and rewrite. And, it was just a process. Never having written a book before. But I knew if I stuck with it, it would be okay.
So yeah, we can do a whole talk about just the process to
Sure.
write the book. The way I did it was I decided there are 12 chapters, and I knew what the 12 chapters will be. And then I tackled chapter by chapter, but I didn't I did the first one, the second one, the third one, but I knew the names of the chapters when I just designed the book. So I knew it's going
Did
to
you
be.
write it in sequence from chapter 1 all the way
Yes.
through? Or yeah.
Yes.
See, I didn't.
Yes,
I
did.
didn't. I just picked something like from chapter 11-6 and I wrote that. And then I went back to
You
chapter
know me,
5.
Jonathan. I'm very,
Linear.
targeted, very organized when it comes to that. So yeah, but I knew exactly what I needed. What are the 12 chapters? I knew the name of each chapter, and I know what I want to say in each chapter. And then I just, I had so much time about. I had nothing to do. I couldn't fire outside because I was not allowed to be outside. There was COVID. I was locked inside my studio with the air conditioning, and I wrote. So
You
8
mean
hours.
you couldn't go up to the roof and fire?
No, I was not allowed to be out. Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, yeah. Which was really, yeah. Sorry.
So Anna, I know you were at one point working with
Yes,
to
and I was
potentially,
thinking about what you were saying. So I've reviewed book proposals, I've reviewed manuscripts and even books for them at different times. And when you make a proposal, and mine didn't go very far, and the more I think about it, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I was trying to do some things with 3D printing, and that field just changes. It probably would be smarter to self-publish that, because like you said, Shamai, you could go back in and just keep changing, because
Right.
every other day there's something new. But regardless, a big part of their proposal is the outline, as you said. And then they'll want to see maybe a chapter as a sample.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what I did. So I did the
Mhm.
outline, and I wrote one chapter, and I
Mhm.
sent it to the American Ceramic Society, and they said, yeah, we're willing to publish it, but it will take few years, and I knew I was on the board. I saw the process, our meeting. So I knew how they think, how they work, and I knew it would take, and I knew from Jonathan, how long does it take him, and I didn't have the patience for that. And really wanted the book out, and I knew that I hoped COVID will end within a year and a half or two, and I wanted the book to be over with the book, and that's exactly what happened. I finished the book, COVID was over, and I had a book. So and I'm very happy with Amazon. Was great. It was a great choice, mainly because they have so many facilities around the world. So somebody in Australia and New Zealand can buy it in Australia. Somebody in Italy can buy it in Italy. Japan can buy it in Japan.
Mhm.
The quality is good. As I mentioned, in one place, I didn't like the quality. But that's okay. You know,
So
the-
then they're just paying shipping from Australia.
no, so if you live in Australia, you buy it in Australia. If you live in New Zealand, you buy it from Australia. And you,
That's
if you
what I
live
mean.
in Germany, you buy it in Germany. If you live in France, you buy it from
Yeah,
France. Italy is Italy. In Europe, they have facilities in every major city in Europe.
okay,
So it's not the issue. In
yeah,
Israel, for example, people in Israel buy it from America, from Amazon USA. It's cheaper to ship, and it takes about a week to get it.
Hmm.
But you know, I see now, you know, if you go on the website and try to buy my book, they tell you you get it tomorrow, which means that they printed in certain place X amount of books because they have their own statistics. They know I sell a book a day, so they keep X amount of books that they don't have to print, so they can ship it to you. It's their risk. So you don't have to wait the 3 days to get it or 4 days to get it, because usually they print it in one day.
Have you thought about marketing it to libraries?
No, I
Nope.
didn't do any
Nope.
marketing, honestly. I didn't.
I have it on my list to go to the librarian, so the art librarian. So I had Jonathan's book. I've already had that put in. I need to do yours and
Yeah.
Rada's book
So
on
I know
plays.
that
I
many
want to get her
comic
to that.
centers buy it for their libraries. You know, I've been to many libraries and I've seen my book there.
Mhm.
But no, honestly, I don't want to invest money or not money, time. I was approached by different advertisement people to pay for advertising. I said, no, I don't want to. I don't need to. I know and you know, Facebook, mainly Facebook has a lot of groups of alternative firing. So they know about my book and they talk about my book. The other thing that happens, a lot of people write to me and ask me questions, send me emails, and send me sometimes pictures of what they've done. And so we talk about it. So, you know, that's how it works. So I don't feel like I need to put money into advertising it.
Yeah. Other questions? Kurt, it looks like maybe you are typing a question.
There's something on the chat.
I'm typing a goodbye. Typing goodbye because I have a 4 o'clock meeting I have to go to.
Oh,
Hey,
Nothing
okay.
worth announcing publicly.
Well, before you go, I just want to say, and we'll keep talking, but every one of you has a story and something, so much knowledge. And there's an African saying that when a person dies, a library is lost. So you all need to keep that in mind with your own individual stories. But Joe, looked like you had a question.
Well, I just thought that the Amazon POD is a perfect place for translation. Like if people in Asian languages or Serbo-Croat or whatever, if they want your book, do they offer a service to translate your text
No.
into another language?
No.
Well, AI would probably do it, but then someone has to correct it.
Well, there's softwares now that can do it, but you know, I'm going to China. I'm supposed to go. Hopefully, I'll be able to go to China in November, December for 2 months. I was invited to Jin Dejen to do. I'm building a new kiln there, and they know about my book. They've seen my book, and I'm sure, you know, I have a feeling that they're going to talk to me about trying to translate it. And I don't know, it's a very difficult market. So I may be willing to do it. I don't know if I'll be willing to relinquish, but to go with somebody like this, since there is no POD in China, I'll have to go with the publisher there. And I'm really, really hesitant to give the rights to the book to any publisher. I want to own my book forever.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I need to talk to them about it. So when I'll be there, we'll talk about it. But yeah, the Asian market is a huge market. You know, I'm sure that if it was in Chinese, I could have sold a lot of books. But I don't want to go with the publisher. You know, unless we can find, they have, I investigated, I couldn't find a POD in China. I don't know why, but, you know, but I'm going to talk to them about it. I'll be there for a long time, so I'll talk to them about it.
Nancy?
Yeah, I was visiting with a very well-known ceramic historian who's written lots of magazine articles and published many books and published quite a big book on ceramics. And I asked her about that experience. You know, she had how was that experience working with this publisher and all this and all. And she actually was quite dissatisfied, even though the book was big and it was thick and it had beautiful illustrations. She said they just took it over and gave her a middle name that she never had, because apparently there was another author out there that had a similar name to hers. And she just, responded in a way that was disheartening. Her experience was disheartening. And I thought, wow, that's a really sad thing to hear, someone who's so well published and respected, in our field. And she kind of got bullied by a publisher, and it just left an impression on me, her comments about that.
So she wouldn't have had it if she went self-publishing.
I don't know if self-publishing was available to that degree. And I know back about 15 years ago when I was,
Oh yeah, no, it was not.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's come a long way, but when she published her book, I don't think it was available. And it just was heartbreaking to me that after all of her work, it kind of got out of her control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
Well, and I love the fact, as someone else said, that this you can edit.
Yeah.
So you can update it. You can,
All the time. Yeah.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
find- you don't like
Add
quality.
chapters, as Anna was talking about with the
Yep.
3D printing,
Right.
which is
As of-
changing on
By
a
the
daily
time that-
basis.
Yeah, yeah. By the time it would be published,
Mhm.
it would be obsolete.
It would be
already.
obsolete, but
And
you
that's what I
could
was
add,
finding. Yeah.
you could add
You could add-
chapters.
Exactly. Yeah, something to think about for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all of the processes are long. Because
Mhm.
I reviewed Greenlaw's manuscript. And from that time to when the book finally did come out, it had to be, and that's like the final part, reviewing the manuscript. And it still, I think, took at least a year before the actual book was printed and distributed. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
just
Well,
takes
it would have
long
been very
time.
nice, and I'm sure Shamai might agree, that I would have loved to be able to snap my fingers and there the book would be. And I just, had to learn that there is a process.
Right.
And, I committed myself to using another publisher, and I just went with it. And I can't put a value on my time.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
it takes a long time to write a book and to
Well,
organize. I keep thinking, I've been a mold and model maker I've been making ceramics for 56 years, but I've been a mold and model maker probably for 40 of those years. It's an incredible amount of information to have to figure that all out. And the same is true with Shamai. You've been doing this for a long time. It's an incredible amount of information. And how do you organize that? And how do you, how do you put it down? How do you put the words down to make them legible? And I knew that even though my book is full of information, I wanted it to be in a narrative form. I wanted to tell my story. And I think, and I hope that that's how it comes across when people read it. And I hope that it comes across when people read your book too, Shamai, because it's a beautiful, your book is beautiful. It really is.
The only difference between us is you're such a much more patient person than I am. It took you 6 years and it took me 2 years. I would not have lasted 6 years. And I was
Yeah.
afraid of it. That's why I decided, that's one of the reasons I went with self-publishing with POD and not to go with the ceramic association. I could have done.
Sure.
They were willing to do it. I send them the sample and send them the whole thing. I said, yeah, I will publish it for you. But I didn't have the patience. And talking to you all these years, I knew how long it's taking you. And I said, I don't have the patience. I have to finish it. And it had
Mhm.
took me 2 years for the day I started to write it till I had the book in my hand. So, and I'm very pleased with the book. And again, Amazon, the POD was a great, it's a great invention, I think. So I
Mhm.
do encourage any of you who wants to write a book, do it because it's a much shorter process than going with a publisher. And it's a new way of self-publishing, all-time self-publishing. I have, my partner published 3 books. We have boxes in the house with his book because it's poetry, couldn't sell them, so I didn't want to have boxes of my ceramic book in my house. So, but that's a new way of doing it. So if he
Yeah.
wants another book, I'll tell him, do it through POD. It's so much, and they'll take any book. They don't they don't care who publish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anna, you had a question?
Yeah, some of the process, like with Bloomsbury, well, those proposals get sent out to readers, 2 or 3 readers. And so they have to give the reader usually a couple months. And so that takes time. Then when the manuscript comes in, they send that out to a handful of readers as well. So it really, I mean, it really does take long
Well,
time.
what I did is I used 2 people. One of them was Julia Galloway. I sent her a draft of my book, and I told her, Julia, tell me what you think. That was before she came to Israel. And another one was one of my students who were at Archie Bray at the time. And they, Julia loved it. She just, within very short period, she said, it's great. And then when she came, she added the word play to the name of the book. So, and my student wrote to me a lot of tiny details, which was very helpful. He asked me, why don't you say that? And this name is that, and he helped me a lot. So those are the 2 people I did send
Good.
the
Mhm.
first draft to
Mhm.
look at. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, really.
We have a couple more minutes, but boy, I would love to see a book on Kurt's work.
Yeah.
And
I really
yeah.
encourage people to do it. It's much easier than going with the publisher, and you're your own master. Nobody tells
Mhm.
us anything. We don't like to be told what to do. So
Mm-mm.
we are, we're there.
Are
So
you are
anyway,
you saying we're independent?
yes, we are, and old and know what we want.
There
Hopefully.
you go. It's about time, huh?
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions for Shamai? This is great. I think Kurt had to leave, so that's too bad. But again, you all have a story, and I think I know, Joe, you have published or worked with publishers on several books, and has this inspired you to do something different?
Well, I would certainly consider it an option. It's just that most of the books that I've worked on or with are collaboratives, and
Mm.
somebody else has already gotten the publisher. So if I were to publish my own book, it certainly would be an option. Maybe the
Yeah.
first option.
I think
Sure.
Anna's idea for a book on 3D printing, for ceramics, I think is a really, really great idea. The difficulty, as you mentioned, is it changes so quickly.
Yep.
Every day is different.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you an episode. Rogers, the guy from Ensika, the collectors. What's her name?
Rick Rogers.
Rick, his
Rick.
wife. His wife wrote a book about cooking, her mother recipes and stuff like this. And Rick, I think, saw me when I was in Ensika with the book sitting down there, and so they called me about probably last year, and we spent 2 hours describing what's the process and how she's doing it. So she's doing a
Wow.
PhD, so it can be any subject. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
topic.
that's great.
Can be anything,
That's great.
so
Good.
she's working on her book to be published on Amazon.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
good book. Mother's,
I'm, yeah, I'm planning on one for my 50 bowl project.
yeah.
And Yeah, and it's interesting that the exhibition is actually in Sheridan now. It's its 6th exhibition around the country. And every time I see it, I think, like this time I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have a chapter on the bowls that were fired for less than 20 hours? And what are the similarities? You know, I
Mhm.
mean, there's so many cross references and ways to look at this whole project. So anyway,
And as I mentioned before, Elaine and I are working on our own book
one for the
for the IAC.
for the IAC, yeah,
Announced in Portugal. So I
yeah.
hope. So-
yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well,
great.
thank you again so much, Shamai. This has been really informative.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
appreciate it, and we'll have it up on YouTube.
okay.
And thank you. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm in
No, thanks.
Minnesota, even though the background looks like I'm still in Wyoming. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnetonka, actually.
What's the book I didn't hear. What's the book you're working on for the IAC?
It's a members book.
Oh,
Artists, it would be artist members, although we're talking about including other member types, could be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so,
So
right.
we're looking at it as an annual
Hmm.
possibility.
You
We
mean,
should have, oh, I'm sorry. I just
I was
was
gonna say to
thinking,
memorialize all the different conferences or the,
No. Artists, individual artists.
Artist members.
Members sharing unique knowledge.
oh, I see. Okay.
The same idea, knowledge, that knowledge won't get lost. Like
Mhm.
Jonathan did, like I did. We want people to share the knowledge, something unique that they develop, and it won't die when they're gone. That's
Yeah.
the idea.
I often ask people if they had a superpower, what would it be? And mine has always been to be able to speak every language. But recently I've added, I would like to be able to download a brain. And this is one way to do it.
I have a 3D printed brain I can loan you. That's,
There you go. There you go. And I want the download to be selective.
oh, okay. Well, this is this brain is a brain doctor. Brilliant
Oh,
brain
okay.
doctor's brain.
Oh,
So
good.
might
Okay.
be helpful.
Yeah.
But
that's
you know,
right.
I'm hoping that with the IAC book, we have some of our IAC members who are wonderful writers right here up on the screen.
Yes.
Write essays for the book. So I would
Yeah.
hope that would be part of it. I think it would be a disservice to not include them and involve
No,
them.
I think you're right. Exactly. We also have gallerists, et cetera. So
Yes, exactly.
a lot of members who pay the same thing as the artists and deserve to be as
Yeah.
Be
as
heard,
much front
yeah.
and center. So that's
For sure.
exactly right. Okay, well, thank
Who's
you.
going to Lisbon?
Jonathan? Yes?
Yeah, I'm going.
Janet? Oh,
Yep.
Janet said bye. I
Yeah.
thought she was raising her hand.
Oh,
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
yeah.
I hope so.
Okay, well, thank
Okay.
you so
Oh,
much.
Don't forget to vote, Jonathan. Everybody vote, please.
Oh, vote, yes, yes.
And vote
Yeah.
for Anne and David. I can say it here.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you not to vote for for the other candidate in the presidential thing unless you want things to stay the same. Definitely do David. So,
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks, everybody.
all right, thank you.
Jonathan,
Bye.
bye-bye.